So, I've been thinking, isn't it like a little weird that we care so much about Steam charts? Not like not like they're useless in any type of sense. Like, yeah, if you're gonna play something online, like they could be helpful in terms of figuring out like, oh, I should probably play at like this time. Or like, oh, there's how many people have been playing for like the past couple hours or couple months. But like we've come to a point where we're a little bit too focused on how many people are consistently playing one game. Because I'm not going to pretend like we haven't been doing that for a while. Like, we haven't been constantly saying, like, oh, this thing's a dead game, because only, like, what, less than 50,000 people are playing it? But that's not what a dead game is. Like, a lot of people, especially in the case of, like, single-player games, like, people keep thinking, like, oh, I'm gonna play this single-player game forever, and it'll be the only game that I play, when that's not how single-player games work. Like, for instance, I typically play a lot of, I tend to play a lot of, like, the single-player or shorter games. Not necessarily all the time, but, like, I like a game that I can start and beat within, like, 4 to 5 hours. Which is usually the amount of time that I usually stream, if you want to click the link down below. But no, like, there's no reason to spend like thousands of hours on a single player game. Like, yeah, there's gonna be people who make certain single player games like their entire brand. Like, there's gonna be people who play Elden Ring, Bloodborne, speedrunners, or like, I can't even think of like what other types of games you would play for like thousands of hours. Like, what, maybe roguelikes? But like, no, what about just like a platformer? Like a usual kind of run-of-the-mill platformer that runs about like 8 to 10 hours, maybe more if like you're trying to go for 100% completion. Character action games usually go for like around, I want to say like 8 to 10. Sometimes they're less if they're like slightly older. But again, that goes back to that thing I mentioned in my last note video, which was about mastery. Like, most people are just gonna play a single player game once and then be done with that. Maybe they'll eventually go back and do like a replay, but it's not gonna be the only thing that they play. Like, there's no... Well, unless you're DMC5, there's no, like, login bonuses. There's no daily logins that, like, they do to train your brain to keep coming back every day. There's no weeklies to do in your single-player game. Hopefully there's not weeklies to do in your single-player game. But, like... yeah, a lot of people are gonna play a game when it first comes out, and it's never going to maintain that momentum. Like, oh, the new thing comes out, a lot of people are playing it, a lot of people are talking about it, they're gonna try it. Some people are gonna try it for like maybe an hour or two, like try to get a refund within that window. If it's free, maybe they'll play it whenever their friends ask. But it's not like the only thing that those people are going to play. Because even in like the full context of like every game competing with Fortnite now, like, because what was the old statistic? It was like, I think it was like 5, I think on average people get like 5 games a year. Like, they'll spend money on a full price like new game 5 times a year. That was back when $60 was the normal. Now that it's higher, and now they have more free-to-play stuff, that's probably gone down to, like, maybe 3 or 4? But, like, yeah, even using my lowball estimate, let's say that most people will only buy 3 full-price games each year. And let's say, like, that they have like 2 ongoing games, let's just assume that one of the ongoing games that they're playing is Fortnite. Like, that is a game that has daily missions, different things going on for different events, weekly stuff. Like, let's say that that's the game that you play after, like, coming home from work, and then you get to relax, and you want to spend like 3 hours playing a game with your friends. Your friend has a Switch, your other friend has a PS4, and your other friend has an Xbox Series S. What's something that you can all play together? Fortnite. So that's the one game that you have as like your kind of multiplayer game. Then, let's say, like, on your way to work or while you're at work, you have a gacha. So that's like your 2 free-to-play kind of consistent games that you play literally every day because of the daily logins and dark patterns and whatever. So then during your free time, or like when you have a weekend, like, oh, I can play a single-player game. Then you can play that single-player game and then you finish it. Because why would you want that single-player game to go on forever? Like, you don't want a movie that goes on forever. You don't want a show that goes on forever. It's kind of pointless. Like, part of that comes from my mentality of, like, an experience isn't truly kind of like a full experience until, like, it's over. Like, part of the ending is part of the experience. I don't know why it's coming to mind, even though I never watched it, but like Lost. Lost was a really kind of very big television show. Even Game of Thrones for something more recent. Like, they're very long-running story. They were very long-running stories, and they were very significant in the zeitgeist. But part of that fun was trying to figure out how it's going to end. Like, especially for something like Lost, which is entirely based around a mystery. Like, I'm not saying that you can't necessarily have a game that doesn't have an ending. Like, there's still, again, those ongoing kind of, like, multiplayer services. Final Fantasy XIV. Like, no, we've had a long-running story for over 10 years, and Dawn Trail is the start of a new, like, central story arc. Like, the game is going to keep going, but that initial story arc that started all the way back when Dalamud was starting to fall, no, that story's wrapped. There's nothing more. Like, that is a complete story from start to finish. And now we're starting another story. We're at the beginning of another story. And, like, that's technically part of the full experience. Like, Chainsaw Man Part 1 is a full experience, even though the Academy arc is... I don't know. We're so deep in the Academy arc, and each time I keep thinking, oh yeah, we're getting close to the end. No. Something happens. But, like, a long-running story is different than a story that never ends. And an online game never ends, or at least it doesn't end until, like, the servers get shut down or you can't play the game anymore. So, like, why do we care about how many people are playing it? I was just genuinely trying to get through this without, like, bringing it up specifically by name, but, like, I keep seeing so many videos of, like, Mario Kart World is dead, and it's like, the game just came out, and, like, everyone who I know who is interested in that game, or everyone who I even watch who, like, played Mario Kart 8, like, no, the expectation is, like, yeah, this is gonna be a long-term thing. It's not going to be a single game that keeps people playing literally forever. There'll probably be a lot of people that come in at the start of, like, after a DLC pack comes out, whenever they add anything new, try it out, maybe play for like a week or two, and then go back to either their usual games or play something else. Like, I don't know when, probably because Genshin actually, but I don't know when But like, no, there's no reason that like you can't have a game that you occasionally come back to or not. Like, there's some way I could spin this into being like gamers will optimize the fun out of everything again, but like, no, it's perfectly fine to have like a game that you pick up every once and again. Like, sure, some games are gonna have daily login bonuses, but that's to encourage people to play daily. You don't have to be those people who play daily. Like, again, going back to 14, because like that's a game that I've been very like, yeah, even for like as kind of pseudo hardcore that I can go about it, like when I'm playing, no, that's a game I frequently take breaks from. And because it's sub-based, as in like you have to, there's a recurring subscription, no, there's multiple times where like, no, I'll unsub from the game, and the choice will be like, oh, why are you doing this? Because something's wrong with my credit card, and I like doing this, not having fun. Or it's just like, oh, I want to take a break. Yeah, I'm taking a break. I don't want to play 14 for like maybe like a month or 2 or 3. Because like, even right now, because I pushed rating really hard the last few patches. I pushed rating really hard. It's the first time that I got to... It's the first time in a while that I've got to turn 4. Especially with just like my one friend who I play with, who I consistently kind of raid with. But like, we kind of got up there. We got almost to phase transition, and like, I kinda got burnt. But like, we got a bunch of the gear. Like, we were clearing it consistently each week. And it's like, okay, I kind of want to break, or else I'm gonna actually break. So like, I'm in the middle of a break, and like the new catch-up patch came out, with the Alliance raid. And like, yeah, I do eventually plan to go back and play it like while it's current content, because like I like playing stuff when it's current, and I like doing like the new things that come out. But it's not my only game. It's not the only thing that I like playing. It's not the only thing I want to play. I still have a bunch of games and a bunch of visual novels that I want to finish. And then like, once I finish off a couple of those, then I'll probably either go back to 14 or try to clear out the rest of my backlog and play something else. Like, there's nothing wrong with there being games that you play start to finish once. Some games that are like your daily games, that are like your games. And then games that you're like, I play once every few months. Like, I'll come back to like one game, like coming back to certain games for like a few weeks every few months. Like, oh, I have time, I'll dedicate like 2 weeks to like grinding really hard in this gacha, or like maybe I'll try really hard to play this competitive game like comp and see how high I can get, and then just move on to something else. Like, I keep thinking of it like in this type of analogy, where it's just like, yeah, you can have your favorite food literally every day for as long as you want, but at a certain point, eating the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again is going to get kind of tiring. You're gonna, like, the taste is going to get bland because you're playing it every day. You're gonna be eating it every day. And like, some people are fine with that. Like, so that's not to knock people who like, who genuinely really find comfort in that type of repetitive type of nature. Like, there are people who do that. There's people who like watching the same shows over and over again because of like, that's their comfort show. There's some people who like playing the same things over and over again because like, no, that's one of their favorite games. They go back to it every now and then. I go back to Resident Evil 4. Like, once I replay Resident Evil 4 at least once I would say every 12 to 18 months. And like that's just the thing that I've been doing kind of subconsciously. Like it's not even like intentional. It's just like, oh, I'm getting the urge to play Resident Evil 4 again. Oh, I have like I can like run through that in like 8 hours. Like I'll either like do it in one sitting or I'll split it up across a couple days and just like that's good. I'll be back in over a year. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's some games that you come back to, there's some games that you don't, and then sometimes when you get the feeling of like, man, it's been a really long time since I played that thing, then you go back to it. Like this obsession with, oh, this thing, this single player game or this full price release doesn't have 60,000 people playing it every day, dead game. Like, why are you comparing? What is the point? What is the point other than like stirring controversy and like, I don't know, being contrarian? Like, oh, your game's bad because you don't have like the same people constantly playing it every day. Like one thing that keeps coming to mind, especially on the note of like player counts, Eunice didn't have like a super huge community for a very long time. Like no, that was a very small and dedicated like type of player base. Same for Melty Blood. Like very small dedicated just community that kept playing and kept being around one another and then kept like advocating for the game between one another and like people that they knew. Like no, there were people that really passionately cared about that game, and then eventually I ended up trying it because I kept hearing so many people talking about it, and then like, oh wow, this is actually a really interesting game that does a lot of things that I find cool from other games. So then I played it, and then I started advocating it, and then I got like different friend groups to play it consistently. And then eventually it got this stage at Evo. It got like one of the main game. It was one of the main games at Evo. I can't remember when it was. I can't remember the year. Somebody will probably remind me in the comments. But like no, it got its shot at Evo. Then a lot of people saw, wait, this is a really cool game, and then they started playing it. And like that's just how natural kind of word of mouth happens and growth happens. Like not everything out the gate needs to be such an immediate ginormous cultural success in order to be worthy of time and attention. Like sometimes it takes a while for things to grow into being something big. All because it's not big immediately doesn't mean that it's not worthy of any of the attention it gets. Limbus Company, like one of a really big gacha nowadays, which is insane to think, but like Lobotomy Corporation wasn't really that massive of a game. Library Runia wasn't really that massive a game. But then Limbus Company comes out, and now the player counts for those previous games jumped up. I'm seeing a bunch of people playing Runia or Lobotomy Corp for the first time, and then realizing why a lot of people didn't stick with those games. But yeah, that's kind of all that I really have to say. Like, I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid to concern yourselves so much with the player counts of various different games and trying to estimate player counts when those types of charts aren't available on different systems. Like, sometimes some games have down periods. That just happens. That's perfectly healthy. Like, not every game needs to be a content mill, not every game needs to have daily logins, not every game needs to have 2 million daily users. Some do. Some do in order to, like, keep the lights on. But not every game. So kind of hoisting that expectation on every game, it's just a little silly. But yeah, that's it. That's all that I really have. If you have any ideas or comments about people using Steam charts or worrying so much about like concurrent player counts for single player games, feel free to leave a comment below, I guess. Yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky. You can follow me on Twitch. I usually stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On the Twitch page, you can also find a link to the Discord. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful morning, noon, or night, no matter when you're watching this. So take care.